What up, y'all? It's your man, Abuamerican. I am back with the guest, Joshua. Mr. How do I say that? Your last name?
Lisec, yeah.
Lisec. Okay, I would have said it right. Nice. Welcome, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. We've been following each other for a while, I think now on Twitter. And what really, I was always interested in writing because I write, I wrote a few books. I've written like 4 books now. And so you're a ghostwriter, right?
Yes.
And you're actually a quite successful one, if I'm seeing this right. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes. I'm finishing my 73rd, 74th, and 75th books I've ghostwritten.
Wait. 73rd, 74th, and 75th. So you're writing 3 books at once?
Yes.
Does that work? How do you do that, man?
Yes. So I have multiple systems in place because anytime you're doing anything and you're doing it well, you ought not do it from scratch. So everything has a template. Everything has a standard operating procedure, from how long a project takes to what we work on it to how we craft a specific genre's structure of the book. Everything is systematized based on what works, and what doesn't work, we just throw by the wayside, which means not every project is going to work. There are some people who want to be kind of long and winding and creative and invent a new genre. No. We're not going to do that. And there's also a specific type of book that I do. There's a type of book that is used by typically an online entrepreneur, a business owner who has, let's say, an online presence through which they can gain clients, generate leads, get on interview opportunities and PR, right? Okay. And the purpose of the book, first and foremost, is to convert readers into clients. Meaning, what the author is talking about, they overwhelm readers with useful information. So maybe 4 chapters in or 14 chapters in, the reader just throws up their hands and say, I just need to hire someone to do this for me. Maybe I can pay the author $10,000 to do it for me. And that's the type of book that I write. So not necessarily philosophy books or autobiographies or science textbooks, those sorts of things. They don't make a lot of money. I'd rather write the books that make a lot of money.
Understand? Well, yeah. I mean, money's where it's at, right? Okay, that makes sense then. Okay, so yeah. I was just thinking like you're like maybe writing stories. I'm like, how do you not get lost writing like multiple books at once? But okay.
Oh, I used to get lost. I'd go all over the place, working 12 hours or more, 6 days a week. And the type of book was like on any given day I would have a novel, and then I would have an autobiography, and then I'd have like a health and wellness textbook. Just too far apart. So now I write the one kind of book that you want it to make you a lot of money. And there's only as far as I can tell, there's only one type of book that does that. And it's the one that converts readers into clients. I'll pimp a couple of examples here real quick. This guy, people on YouTube or Twitter may have seen him. He's a cardiologist. So his book teaches you a new way to think about your diet, your fitness plan, whatever. And there's a lot of, let's say, blood work he wants you to track over months, quarters, and years even. And it is complicated to remember all of these things. And so we make it easy for readers by just simply checking out his course with all the downloads and spreadsheets and trackers and tools and all this stuff. So at the point where you feel the overwhelm, plus there's the grocery shopping list and the checklist and how to talk to your doctor about this stuff, it's overwhelming. So we have a nice $99 course with everything in it. And then if you'd like Dr. Avadia's specific feedback, you can book him to actually review your lab work with you, create a plan. If you like accountability plan, you can make him your concierge kind of telehealth specialist. Everything is up there now. He's been able to pull back from doing as many heart surgeries as he was before because he's been so financially successful because of the book. Wow. From book to course to once-off client to ongoing client, and then now he has corporate clients that he does this stuff for. So that's one example.
So it's sort of like an upsell then, basically. It's kind of like upselling from the book, but you actually get a good book that actually has actionable information in it also at the same time. Just maybe
yes. You could follow it. You could figure out yourself. You could get the results, right? But it's going to be a lot easier and a lot faster to just say, screw this. I'm going to hire the author. I want to give another quick example, if I may here. Noah Ravoy has a book called Become Immune to Manipulation. Quick anecdote about this book. How they're manipulating you and how to resist it. The book came out. The next day, he gets a cold direct message on Twitter. Somebody said, hey, I read the ebook last night. I'm 4 chapters into it. I've seen enough. I'd like you to come give a workshop to my company to teach my people this because I can't possibly explain what's going wrong on this project to everyone. Can I just have you come in and tell us how to fix it and train all of us? And that's what he does now, is working with corporations and C-suites and whatnot. And the purpose of the book is to get people so hair on fire panicked about what's happening. I just need to talk to this guy and help him, have him help me understand what from his book applies to me and what I need to do to make sure I'm following his advice properly. So there's some level of authority, credibility, and expertise that having author of behind your name to write the book on your subject matter that has never been written before. Like I tweeted this morning, and people seem to like it. Your book should contain ungoogleable information. Ungoogleable information, meaning if you were to Google how to X, Y, Z, you would not find what's in your book on Google.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, let's say, for example, what's your most recent book about?
My most recent book is about vetting women. Actually, like if you're gonna get in a relationship, like red flags to look out for. And I compiled like from personal experience and experiences of like a lot of people I've spoken to, what to look out for. A lot of it, actually, I think some of it's like pretty obvious. Some of the stuff is like, you probably won't see anywhere except in my book. Yeah.
Right. So that's a good example is things that you've picked up from your experiences that even the first 3, 4, or 5 pages of Google, you're not going to find. Even searching on social media or listening to podcasts, they're going to hear the same tired crap over and over that was search engine optimized.
Okay.
To be seen first.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm writing another one, basically like vetting during marriage. Like, so when you're married, red flags to look out for, because we know sometimes good things fail, unfortunately, and so looking out for those failure signals out there. So I'm sitting here thinking like, I wonder if I have something here that I could do the same in, like what you're talking about there. I probably could actually. Interesting stuff.
Yeah. Another heuristic, if I could, Abuamerican, another heuristic for like what's a book that can upsell, that can pull readers into the point where they say, I need to talk to the author. Another heuristic is the red pill versus blue pill metaphor, right?
Okay.
So I recommend that every book red pill people so that they cannot think about your topic the same way ever again. So, for example, Dr. Avadia, the cardiologist, his book, he red pills people about the American Heart Association. So you can't think about heart health the same way ever again after you read that book. Your opinion, your beliefs are changed instantly and forever. And I'm also a trained hypnotist through the National Guild of Hypnotists. And one of the things that we learn is how to quickly and easily, with minimal resistance, change someone's beliefs on a topic. And so if you can change someone's beliefs, you'll change their behaviors. If you can change your behaviors, they'll realize that your stuff works. And if they prove to themselves that your stuff works, what are they going to do? They're going to cold message you on Twitter and say, I've seen enough of your book. Please help me. I'll pay you $10,000.
Ooh, I can take that. That'd be nice. I can deal with that. One client, 10,000. I don't get clients at that level right now. So,
Yeah. And some people, it's going to be like a group environment. So like Dr. Vedi, I think he has a $97 a month kind of a community. And there's several people in there that makes it worthwhile, to run that group.
Gotcha. Smart, very smart. I'm really bad at this type of stuff. And even though I write and I think my material is good, I don't consider myself like good at like this type of writing stuff. So this is very interesting information to hear. It's like, it sheds a new light on I'm going to have to hire you. No. I got a question here. This is a long time follower. He says, any courses to get better at ghostwriting? He also asked, is this like copywriting? I don't know if this is 2 questions in one, maybe.
Yes. So funny enough, quick, a little story here. 2020, it was the summer. It was like May, June 2020. A biotech company reached out to me on Twitter. They said, hey, we see that you're a copywriter, ghostwriter, you do a lot of great stuff. You look really expensive. We have some freelance writers that we've hired off of Fiverr and Upwork to do writing content, articles, white papers, presentations for us. We realized that it's easier and faster to write it ourselves than to edit their crap that we paid them to write. It's so bad. We can't use any of it. They just don't get it. And they even say they're like medical writers and tech writers. They just don't get it. So what we're wondering is, because you're probably too expensive for us, can you create a training program, how to train someone who can't write to make them someone who can write well enough to represent our company, like the ghostwrite and the voice of the CEO. And so I said, yeah, I'll do that. So I went and created a course called The Best Way to Say It. I
Okay.
have about 20. No, I have over 3,000 people have bought my Best Way to Say It courses since June of 2020. So I created the course as if it is an employee or contractor training experience, showing how to write something from scratch, how to structure ideas, how to make sure you are speaking in the voice of the the author, the client, whomever. And I give real world training examples where I'll be working on someone's email or someone's chapter or someone's article. Ed Lattimore is one of the people that I worked on his stuff and ghostwrote some of his stuff inside of the video, and I recorded myself working on it, explaining why I'm writing what I'm writing, how I'm incorporating his ideas, but making it sharper, better, cleaner, easier to read, and then taking one sentence and expanding it into a half a page just from one sentence. So I create the course. I go back to them. They buy a copy of it. And you probably know what happened next. They messaged back and they said, Joshua, we've fired all of our writers and we'd like to hire you to do everything in your course for us.
Wow.
So they became a client after that. And so that course to kind of, I've had my own part a little bit here. The best way to say it is effectively a training module for if you want to learn how to write better. And the context was it actually has to work. So I wrote it like standard operating procedures, like a training manual for a company to actually use.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you watch this and it will make them not suck.
That sounds good. That's still available?
Yeah, it's just a pinned tweet on my Twitter profile.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check it out then. That something I don't do is I don't check people's Twitter profiles, like their pinned tweets. Like everybody's like, there's what do you call it? Pronouns in their bios. I have to actually like consciously think to go look at someone's bio. So yeah, I never looked at your bio actually. It's like I don't know what's in my own. Anyway, that sounds very interesting. So let me ask you, $1 million, really? Like copywriting, ghostwriting? Not copywriting, ghostwriting. I never said copywriting. Go $1 million.
Yeah. In 2021, my ghostwriting business, we did $1,004,012 US dollars. I'm going to be doing a thread about what the breakdown of that is because it's not all ghostwriting books. It's also ghostwriting white papers. It's ghostwriting speeches. It's ghostwriting, let's say, shorter form content, but a lot of it. Like someone says, "Hey, we need a twice a week email newsletter," and they want to schedule it 6 months in advance. One of my favorite things to do is ghostwriting live, which is so much fun, where I'm interfacing with the client and they need, let's say, a sales page written. And I say like, not a sales page necessarily for a product, but it's a personal brand type of a thing. Like my community is going to be opening up, or, my very first course is coming out, or I have these workshops. And what they're really selling is themselves. So it needs to be in their voice. And so I'll meet with them and I will ghostwrite on the spot with them live the entire sales page. And I get that interaction and that feedback to make sure I'm capturing exactly what they want to say. It's so much faster. So I can do a whole sales page in 90 minutes, charge $6,000 US for that. And you can get a few of those in there and you can begin to see, oh, wow. You only need to do a few of those. And okay. Now I understand, Joshua.
6,000 for 90 minutes. Yeah. Whoa. Do one a week and chill.
Do one a week and chill. Yes.
Yeah. Holy smokes, man. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's a fun business. And I only work 25 to 30 hours a week as well now. It's because of the systems and the templates and the standard operating procedures and the fact that I won't just write any book. If someone says, I want to tell my life story, I want to share my spiritual philosophy. I've had two people, Abuamerican, two people reach out to me and said, Joshua, I'd like you to know I am the reincarnated Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and I am here with the message for humanity. I'd like to write a book.
How do you respond to something like that? I'm just curious because I'm used to dealing with trolls. I would take that as a troll, but I mean, they obviously think they're serious. How do you respond to that?
So I was unwise enough to take the first one as a client. That's a client you only take once. You only take on one of those people. But the story was this is 2018. So the story goes, we're about 40% through the project. I had gotten ourselves way ahead in the project. So the manuscript was actually done by this point, even though he's only 40% through the way of paying, right? And that's another thing I figured out is you never want to get too far ahead. of installments versus progress and deliverables because of what happens when that happens, and you're dealing with an unethical shyster, let's say. What happens is, Joshua, I've decided I want to part ways. I want to, cancel the project, and I'm not going to pay you the rest of the 60% that I owe you because I don't like the book. Something like that, right? So what does he do then? He publishes the book as it is, without changing it, of course. This is the first person who told me he's the reincarnated Jesus Christ with a message for humanity, a new worldview that's going to completely transform the world, and will whatever. Like you just run with it, right? So
he's the scammy Jesus, huh?
Yeah. Now I broke ass Jesus is more like it. That's who we were dealing with. So I don't think he was the reincarnated Jesus. I didn't then. I certainly don't now. But that sort of person who says my message is so important, I need to write a book. No, I think I'm going to pass. The people who need to write a book are the ones who are thinking, like this guy direct messaged me on Twitter today. He said, I'm ready to become the go-to authority in my, and he describes his industry. I know I need a book. So he's not out here saying, I have this new worldview, this new philosophy, this new perspective, this amazing story. It's not even about the book. It's, I want to be the go-to expert because my stuff works, but no one knows who I am.
Gotcha.
And the people at the top of the industry who are charging 10 times what I am are schmucks. I'm tired of getting paid like a schmuck, even though I'm the best. Fair. And I need a book because having author of behind my name elevates me to the status of the schmucks who are actually seen as the best, the brightest, because they're so good at marketing themselves. And that's another dirty little secret of ghostwriting that you learn how the sausage is made, so to speak, is the people at the top of any industry, meaning the most famous, are usually one of the worst at delivering the service, fulfilling the promise, because they don't have that in the talent stack. They have PR, marketing, engagement, list building, joint ventures, affiliates. That's their talent stack. They don't have actually time to fulfill their promises. They just say, if it doesn't work, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Whereas the people who are the greatest at what they do take 5 clients a year, and no one knows who they are.
I've noticed that, like a lot of people, especially YouTube, because that's where I started. I started on YouTube. I mean, I'm not really active on Twitter that much these days, but I noticed on YouTube, it's like a lot of people who like shoot up really fast. They're good at marketing. They're good at sales. They're good at making the videos in a particular way. But then when you listen to their message, it's like you're just rehashing stuff in a different way. Like you said, it's Googleable information. It's something you heard before. They're just really good at like the bling and catching people's attention in the TikTok generation. But really, when you look at them, it's like, do you really know what you're talking about? You know? And so it's kind of like it's messy out there like that, these days. So that's interesting to hear. How did you get into ghostwriting? How did you go from did you study it, the university course on ghostwriting? How did you get here?
I got into ghostwriting completely by accident, and I never even wanted to in the first place. My lifelong ambition as a kid was to be a published novelist. I wanted to write novels, fiction, under my own name. I came of age just as the Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia books were being turned into kind of major motion pictures, and a lot of us who were who are kids and preteens, kind of in that stage, and even young adults, like we were like, oh, this is cool, rediscovering this this ancient high fantasy and children's adventures and kids' adventures and whatnot. That's wow, I really like to create worlds like that, for the next generation, and that's what I wanted to do. I started a fantasy. And then the 4th Indiana Jones film came out and reignited my interest in the first, the first 3 Indiana Jones films, and particularly the Nazi killing aspects, because my grandfather, wiped out thousands of National Socialists in his day, because he was a navigator of a B-17 bomber, and I've got a lot of his, his collectibles and his stuff from those days, and so there's a little bit of a family connection there. So I wanted to write Indiana Jones for millennials. And I did. I got a 2-book publishing deal out of it with options for more. That's when life took an interesting, different turn. I'm doing the book signings. I'm doing the author panels. I'm doing the autographs and the selfies with the flip phones when you had to turn them around the other way and you can't actually see if you're in the shot. Those types of selfies with fans and readers. 2 people who bought my first book, both in their late 60s, they both called me after reading it because I had tooked. I figured across sells and upsells at this point in my life. I had made Joshua Lisec branded bookmarks that I'd stuck in the novels when I was doing signing and events and with my number on them. So 2 people called me. Said, Joshua, I absolutely love your book. So I searched you online. I saw that you're a freelance writer as well. Can I hire you to write my life story, but make it a novel that reads as good as yours do? Because, Joshua, I've wanted to write a book longer than you've even been alive, as far as I can tell. Haven't been able to do it myself. Can you please help me? And I said, okay, fine, sure, I'll help you with your book. And I've been saying, okay, fine, sure, I'll help you with your book. 75 books now.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. You want to write my life story? I tell everybody if I told you the story of my life, you think I'm lying. You probably would too.
As long as you don't believe yourself to be a reincarnated religious figure.
I'm no sort of reincarnation whatsoever. Reincarnation. No, I'm joking. Yeah, but I do have an interesting life story, but different story. Now, did you study anything? Were you in university? I mean, did you?
Yeah, so I gave a TED
together.
talk about this, like school and careers. I gave a TED talk about this. How most people in my generation were told, go to a good school, get good grades, you'll get a good job where you can stay for 40 years. Those 4 things are a lie, as we learned too late. You know, that advice expired before we were even given that advice in the first place, effectively. And so I did, you know, I was homeschooled. We had a kind of a classical education curriculum, and the focus was on academic achievement, because if you go to a good school and get good grades, you'll get a good job. So you obviously have to be the best student you possibly can be. But that, of course, is the opposite of an entrepreneurial spirit, unfortunately. So I'm prepared to get A+ in everything I do, which I do in the 4.0 GPAs, and I get ultimately 3 college degrees. And the vast majority of what I learned is not just not useful, it's wrong. Like, not a little bit wrong, but extremely wrong. So, like, you know, when they talk about business writing, for example, they would talk about how using complex language with multisyllabic words makes people believe that you're educated and that you're a trustworthy person. The opposite of that is true, of course.
Yeah,
so you get a college degree in something that's not even true, of course, which is what a lot of people are experiencing now. Then there was a few things here and there that were helpful, but my degrees get me a crappy job earning less than what a minimum wage fast food worker earns now. Right. And I worked at a real company even. And of course, they were able to get away with underpaying, you know, because you're 20. What do you know? You're a millennial. You don't know anything. And I graduated college when I was 20. I didn't even last a year at that company. I thought, this is stupid. I should just write, because I'd already worked with those 2 people as the freelance ghostwriter by that point. I'd already had my book. So I thought, okay, I got something here. Maybe I can make a go of this. So February 12th, 2013, I gave the good old FU to corporate America, and I've been effing them over since.
Nice. Well, during that time, so when you made that transition, was there ever a moment where you were like, you know, like a year in, 6 months in, you're like, man, was this the right choice? Did you ever have like any sort of doubts or fears when you first took that leap?
Most people are too comfortable to make the leap, to jump, like to actually jump, not to like try to have both of these skis going simultaneously. The side hustle and the job is what I've observed, and they're just comfortable enough to keep the job and maybe do something on and off and that sort of thing. But there's security and there's a paycheck, and I know these sorts of things, right? I was not comfortable enough. I was uncomfortable. In that experience, because I saw what the work that I was doing, how it was being used. Give you an example. One of the tasks that I had was writing standard operating procedures for the company, because they wanted to sell it for a high 8-figure amount, you know, like 50, 60, $70 million. And they were paying me excruciatingly little to do something that was going to be worth to them multiple millions of dollars. They knew this. I knew this. The CEO told me how important my job was, because it was going to make him rich. He was someone he was fortunately honest about the value of my work. And I realized, but does he even know what I'm getting paid to do any of this? This trade-off sucks. So I knew how valuable what I was writing, and I thought, well, I could probably get paid a lot more doing this for just another company, like as a client, or having them as a client. You know, being a solo service provider rather than a crappy 8 to 5 salaried position.
Fair. Okay, yeah, you're right. You know, a lot of people they're too comfortable, and some people are too comfortable even in discomfort. You know, I mean, there's like a level between like being uncomfortable and then, or excuse me, being comfortable and discomfort but some people have like a high tolerance for like just BS and just tolerating it for their whole life. I mean, I landed a pretty good job right now, but I landed it because I was just uncomfortable where I was. But even being in a job right now, even though I completely love my job, right now, it's kind of like, I mean, you're still kind of like, because again, what you're doing and its value in comparison to what you're getting, even though I'm very happy with what I'm getting, it's kind of like, buddy. So yeah, that's interesting to hear. Yeah, just a side note, I actually homeschooled my first 3 children, so that's it's that's very interesting to hear. Question now coming to how we got here. This is the craziest thing because I saw your tweet. Do you care to explain what the heck that was all about? Was that a real thing? Did they actually say that? Okay, so anybody who doesn't know, I saw a tweet from Joshua, and apparently they said they wanted to hold off on an interview, if that's correct, if I remember.
Yeah, so somebody had a podcast. Because I do a lot of like outreach and like trying to get on the podcast and sharing whatnot, because kind of to anyone who will talk to who wants to talk to me and share with their audience the secrets of making a lot of money from writing. That's the sort of thing I want to be known for, and so I go out and understand the fundamental of PR and getting interviewed. And so I reach out to different podcasts. And so there was one particular interviewer, an AWFL, an affluent white female liberal, the type of person I will no longer work with. That's the only band you can, besides people who think they're Jesus Christ reincarnate. The second type of person I cannot work with as a ghostwriter is the affluent white female liberal. Anyway, this was an awful. And she told me, because you're white, we're going to have to hold off. We've had too many white people, and so we need to not interview. We need to have some BIPOCs. She actually said BIPOCs. We need to make sure we interview more BIPOCs first.
What's a BIPOC?
Black or indigenous person of color.
Oh my gosh!
Which is odd because it's a category that is a non-category. So you group in there. So let's say someone who's from India, someone who is, let's say, from Botswana, let's say from Central America. Those people have nothing in common with each other. Why are they in the same category? I think that's just, and also somebody who's like 95% white but belongs to a Native American.
You know why they're in the same category? Those colored people, though. Those darker than brown people. And that's what unifies them. You've got that twinge of color on you.
Yeah. Oh no, and the indigenous even refers to white people who have like over a certain percentage of Native American ancestry or tribal affiliation. It's just bizarre. Awful sounds awful. Yeah, AWFL, affluent white female liberal. Anyway, I responded back, and there's a more to the conversation that I could fit into a tweet. I used all characters in the tweet to try to like crunch the story down into a single tweet because there's so much juice here. But I explained that I don't identify as white, and like shocked, right? And I explained that white diminishes the diversity of Indo-European people of lighter color. And I have begun popularizing that phrase, people of lighter color, to play with leftist languages because it's fun, And then I expanded it, and I tweeted it went viral, in which I said, we are expanding the term for white people for greater diversity, of course, and inclusion and equity. And so we're going to call it people of lighter color and allies. For short, polka.
Okay.
And the stereotype about polka music is only white people like polka music, right? So there is a joke embedded there because this whole thing is a joke. But she was shocked because she'd never heard that, and she ended up praising me for how woke I really was. And the best thing is to just beat these people at their own stupid game.
Yeah, that she didn't catch that the whole. She was like, "Oh wow, that's amazing! Wow, you really got to be disconnected." Yeah, when I saw that, man, I was like, "What the hell?" My grandfather, no joke, people don't believe me. My grandfather on my mother's side is as white as you are. So I was like, "No, I gotta have this guy on right now, just because she said that." I was like, and I've been following you for a while, so I was just like, you know what? Let me find out what he does and how he does it because he's $1 million ghostwriting. I'm like, I don't get it. So I was like, hey, perfect timing,
Yeah, and I appreciate it. It's I once tweeted that I want to write the most based anti-woke book on every topic that I can, and just to combat the awfuls I've ghostwritten for, which I've ghostwritten for many. One of which, hilarious anecdote, it was I think it was like April and May of 2020, just as all like the world was deciding to like incinerate their own economies,
Yes.
over a cold, basically.
Now they're trying to do it over Russia.
Yeah. And let's doom our entire economies. So this particular awful that I had as a client, she still hasn't paid, by the way, over 2.5 years later. But she sent a company-wide email to all of their contractors, and most of their entire company are like contract relationships, right? So she sends a company-wide email, in which she says this awful. She says, due to instability in the economy and uncertainty with this epidemic, we are suspending all pay to all of our contractors indefinitely. So, is that actually legal? Probably not. You can't just. So. We all had contracts, by the way. Like each of us has a contract. She just says, "What? It's company policy." Like this is some of the worst legalese I've ever seen. Because of the uncertainty, we're suspending all pay to all of our contractors. Still haven't, been able to go out of that one, but it's not enough for me to make it worthwhile, because it turns out that when you try to pursue someone to pay you, it costs as much as, if not more, in lawyer fees to try to recoup that back, and there's the time and the stress, the back and forth, the waste of time, and it ends up benefiting only the lawyers on both sides, and you may not even get paid at the end of it. So that was a situation. That is what awfuls do. It's who they are. Awfuls are racist, they're bigoted, and they're broke as hell. And so I don't want to work with them.
It's a tropism, but it's a true one. Get woke, go broke. It seems like yes. This happens now on the micro and the macro level. We see it with governments, and on the individual level, it's the same thing. It's very unfortunate.
And what I've learned is it's not even about the money. Interestingly enough, is that they will do things that are intentionally less profitable because their ideology is so important. The religion is so important. And so many people remark how the quote unquote woke are religious in a sense. And how those their beliefs map, oddly enough, as kind of an anti-religion. For example, in Christianity, there's a concept of original sin, right? That everyone has. The original sin of the woke is whiteness. They call it. It is the one thing that makes a person irredeemable.
How did I not connect this in my head? That's so simple, but like profound.
Yes. And the redemption is the work. You've heard like doing the work and dismantling whiteness.
Oh man. Hey, you're right. It's like a nightmare religion, dude.
Mm-hmm. And the chosen people, and come back to evangelical Christianity. The chosen people are the BIPOCs, as the Jewish people are in Christianity. The BIPOCs are the chosen people, right? So it is an anti-religion where people will put their tribal signifiers on. What will a Christian put on their bumpers? Well, what will a woke person put on there? And you see it maps perfectly onto it. It's an anti-religion.
Okay, so all my leftist Muslim sisters that come to my channel, there you have it. Stop, get away from it. It's a whole religion. Haram, okay? Haram. that's my only fatwa that I've ever made in my life.
Yeah, well, it's worse than a religion in that it's an anti-religion, because it's an inversion of particularly Christianity. There could be other faiths that are part of it, but it seems like it's an inversion of Christianity. Oddly enough, it's an anti-Christian. So I call it anti-religion. I think is the best way to think of it.
Well, yeah, I would throw, of course, feminists into there with the whole woke culture group. And there was a saying. It was coined by a brother named Daniel, and he said, what did he say? Feminism is the gateway drug to disbelief. And so when we look at because I'm Muslim and I have a predominantly Muslim crowd, so when we look at Muslim women who go into feminism, it like the stuff that comes out of their mouth, it's the antithesis of what we believe and what we practice as Muslims a lot of times. And so it's like, how do you reconcile this, as a practicing Muslim and then saying these things and believing these things and hang out with people who are like, so diametrically opposed, to everything you believe. It's wild. It's wild. You're right. That's pretty serious, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So everything that you want based on your faith, the woke want the opposite of that.
Yeah. No, it's true. They're very promiscuous. They're very anti-family, very just everything we believe in. I think it's pretty clear. I think there's a rhetorical question, actually, Jawad. What are your thoughts on woke comments? Opinions on the Rippaverse? What's this Rippaverse? I never heard of this. Have you heard
I
of
don't know
that?
about Rippaverse, but what comics really what any type of like entertainment is it's programming. Because when we are consuming what we see as entertainment media, be they tweets, be they comic books, be they graphic novels or movies, they are programming. We're going into a trance-like state. So when I said earlier that go woke, go broke, it's worth
Yeah.
it for them because it's a religion. It's an evangelism. Evangelism doesn't have to be profitable for it to be worthwhile. So it's evangelizing. They want to create converts. And so what they must do is they must hypnotize. So this is why the culture war was so destructive, and why that it was waged as a culture war, because when you can capture institutions of education and media and publishing and movies and shows and basically entertainment, you capture that first in the culture, then you'll win everything. Because every time someone picks up a novel, a comic book, or they watch a movie, they do anything, you're programming them. You're evangelizing effectively, because they're creating and they're experiencing a trance-like state in which their inhibitions are lowered, in which their suggestibility is higher. And this is why the woke are specifically writing children's books. They're targeting children because children have the lowest inhibitions, and until about age 5, we're in a permanently hypnotic state in which a suggestion becomes reality. And this is why you see these wackos on TikTok who are talking about wanting to do this or that, the other in their preschool or kindergarten and their grade school, is because they know that if they can suggest it to the kids in the classroom, the kids will become that, and that they can get them to remain that way for life. They will capture them for life as converts.
Interesting.
And it's not about the money. Preschool, kindergarten, these things do not pay very well at all. And that's okay, because it's not about the money. It's about the religion.
Yeesh. That's scary, man. Yeah, this was like part of the issue, like why I came into homeschooling with my first 3 kids, and it was actually quite difficult for us because in Germany, it's illegal. It's literally, you can get you in trouble. But I was working for the U.S. forces at the time, and because they have what's called the SOFA agreement, status of forces agreement, there was like a loophole to where I could homeschool, even though my wife was German and my kids were German citizens, because they had dual citizenship. And it's the same thing, just trying to keep them out of the system of indoctrination. Even here in Germany, I mean, they have their whole, why are these people so compliant and just, pushovers? Why? Because that's what they're indoctrinated with at schools. It takes away the individual's ability to resist. Like you said, they're sponges for everything at such an early age. And it's dangerous out there. It's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah. So if you want to look at the future, is go to any public bookstore or library, go to the children's section, and you'll see the future.
Oh my.
And like here, even like a conservative religious area, even their school with libraries, go to the library, go to the local schools, go to a bookstore. Again, do not pay very well at all. It's not about the money. It's about power. It's about whoever rocks the cradle rules the world, is the quote. Whoever picks the books your children read is going to decide what they believe. And so now, it's children's books about castration. And when I say castration, I don't actually mean that. I mean something else. But I don't want you to get banned for me talking about this. But this is what they are. I'm like my name is Heather, and I'm a boy now. Type of content, it's everywhere. And again, it's not about the money. It's about the ideology. It's about the religion.
So that said, what's your prognosis for the future here? What are we looking at? What, in your opinion, what do you think? I mean,
yes. So I was on a podcast a couple of days ago, and he said, "Joshua, is there any hope?" And I said, "No, no." So the anti-religion, kind of that won the culture war of the West. It's over. The comedian Michael Malice said that the culture war was lost decades ago, and now the left is just going around shooting the survivors. This is effectively what's happening. So the only way is to understand that, culturally speaking, the West is a prison camp. That metaphor of culture war, prisoner of war camp, I think is useful for what ought to happen next. Each of us, for ourselves, for our minds, for our families, for our townships, for our villages, for our communities, we need to think like prisoners of cultural war, which is effectively what we are. And that there's barbed wire, there are guards, right? We need to dig a tunnel and escape.
Wow. It's a lot to absorb when you think of it like that. You're actually right. I was sitting here talking just today at work, and it's like we were contemplating, because I speak German, and we were contemplating looking at the German news, because the best place I don't know if you speak German, but if you speak German, the best place to find news on Germany is actually TikTok. You will find the best takes in Europe on TikTok for German TikTok. So my entire TikTok feed is German news, and they're literally running this place into the dirt, and they're treating citizens like absolute enemies. It's so unreal. I mean, it is literally the German government being hostile to its own citizens. And I mean, this makes sense. The prison guards are actually hostile to the prisoners. And it doesn't, when you say it like this, it makes perfect sense, because now a woke government in place, here in Germany. It's a strong left-leaning government with the Greens in power and everything. And so it's like, what is going on here? And the people, they're sleepwalking into, I don't know what you want to call it. Another gas chamber, doom. It's madness what's going on here.
Yeah. I do see some English language content about the energy prices and regulations and those sorts of things.
You will not get how bad it is and how crazy things are if you don't speak German. It is truly insane. I'm not doing it on YouTube, but I'm doing it on my Odyssey channel. I'm starting to do translations, because YouTube will definitely ban me. So I'm gonna only be on Odyssey, just doing translations of like what's going on here. It's insane. It's insane. It's got me contemplating leaving. And I'm currently, when it comes down to employment, I'm in the best job I've had in my life. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm just like, yo, this ain't worth it,
Yeah.
Sir, it's 40 minutes. I know you don't have a lot of time. You're getting like 6,000 for 90 minutes. I thank you for these 40.
My pleasure.
But that was very interesting conversation, man. I would like to have it. We were mostly talking ghostwriting, but like this part of the conversation was actually a little bit more like, wow, hold on,
Yeah. If we were to take like 3, 4, 5 minutes, is there anything else that like is essential for you to unpack, to dig into, to unlock, to make sure we cover for live listeners and for those recording?
No. I just wanted to like meet you for the first time and talk to you and just like pick your brains a little bit and just chat. But it turned out like better than I thought, man. I'm like, wow, okay.
That's great. Yeah, and this is definitely an anti-woke and based interview, and that's the kind of content that I can get behind.
Me and you both, man. I love it.
Sure thing.
All right, Joshua, thanks for coming on, man. And hopefully we can do it again in the future.
My pleasure. Thank you, Abuamerican.
All right, we're signing off, guys.